Hey, what's going on everyone? In this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you all the awesome must-know tips and tricks that there is to know about the latest generation, latest software update, I should say, of watchOS 8. So as long as your device supports the latest software update of watchOS 8, you should be able to follow all these hidden features and tips and tricks just fine. So this includes the Series 3 and newer, which I actually do have right here, and some SE tips and tricks as well. Let's go ahead and begin. Starting off, to quickly switch from grid view to list view. This feature was removed and was added in the settings, but now it's back how it used to be, where you can actually long press on the grid view and you can switch to the list view. This is perfect if you're having a hard time locating a certain app because everything is alphabetical order and it's easier to find that app that you might be searching for. So there's two newly added watch face for watchOS 8, which is world time and portrait shots. To locate them, to have access to additional tools, if you go into the Apple Watch app on your main device, tap on Watch Face Gallery, here you can find the two newly added watch faces. Now for portraits, select the photo, and there's an additional option that you're not really given on the Apple Watch. So if we select this image as a fine example, and you scroll down to where it says photo, tap on the photo, tap on it once more, and here's where you can actually go ahead and actually adjust where you want the time to be located. So now if you tap done, you can notice there's additional options here. You can add two additional complications for the top and bottom. You can change the theme and all that good stuff. But if we add it to our Apple Watch now and it updates, and now you see that the icon is on top instead of the default on the bottom. That's how you could adjust the placement of the time. And then if there's an image or a complication or a setup that you have on your watch face that you want to share with somebody, by simply long pressing on the Apple Watch, there's now is this arrow up icon, which when you tap here, you can send it to your recent contacts, you can email it, and they're going to get a link to where they can actually get the exact watch face and complications that you have on your Apple Watch. And you could disable some of these too if you go into the settings. That's how you quickly share your watch face with other people. And then if you open up your photo app on the Apple Watch, you can also share images here as well. So you can quickly just tap the little up arrow icon, and just like your smartphone, you can share it with your contacts. Then in addition to that, you can also see down here that there is an option here where you could create this as a watch face if you like. Now if there's an application acting funny, you could always force reset the app without having to hard reset the Apple Watch itself by simply just holding down the power button, which is this long button right here, and then tap and hold the digital crown. This will force shut that app, so you can relaunch it and hopefully resolve any bugs or issues that you were experiencing. Now focus is new for watchOS 8, and it will actually mirror everything by default on your iPhone to the Apple Watch. So if you quickly launch your control center, go into the focus tab, which is by default the moon, and you select the type of focus you have set up on your Apple Watch, you can tap on it here, and here you have additional options for a 1 hour, until the morning, until tomorrow, until I leave this certain location. You have these cool options here, but in addition to that, you have additional focus settings. If you go into the settings on the Apple Watch and you scroll down to focus, select the type of focus you want to personalize or go into the more in-depth settings. So like personalize, for example, you can add new things. So you can actually create a separate custom schedule for the Apple Watch itself, or you could delete it entirely. But in addition to that, if you scroll back, you can actually allow it to mirror your iPhone. This way, whenever you select one of these modes, it's not just on the Apple Watch itself, it also will enable it on your iPhone. So you have that ability, which is really awesome. Now back on our phone, if you like to mute the mindfulness reminders, it's easy to do so. Just simply launch the Apple Watch app on your iPhone and go into Mindful. And now you can actually toggle the switch right here to mute for the day. But if you want to customize it even further, you can by simply going into the haptics. You could either select none, minimal, prominent. I personally just leave this off in general, so I just leave it on none. And then if you want to, you can also adjust the breathe rate on the mindfulness by simply going into the mindfulness one more time, tap the breathe rate, and here you have the option and choice between 4 to 10 breaths per minute. Now other additional goodies that you could adjust on the mindfulness app is if you actually launch it on the Apple Watch, tap the 3 dots, you can actually adjust the duration here as well. More additional options to your preference if you want to adjust this. Now if you use your Apple Watch a lot for workouts, before you start a workout, Instead of having to wait for this countdown, you can just tap on the screen. It'll just bypass the 3 seconds. It'll start right away. And if you double tap, it'll actually do separate segments. So if you're making laps and such like that, running outdoors, you could do that. And it just ends just like so. And then if you use Apple Pay on your Apple Watch, you know it's mandatory to actually have a passcode. There's a way you could technically bypass this by launching the Apple Watch app on your iPhone. Go into passcode, and here where it says unlock with iPhone, just make sure to enable this. Now whenever you put on your Apple Watch and you unlock your iPhone, it will automatically unlock your Apple Watch, so you don't have to put that pin code or anything like that. Another hidden feature that I just cannot live without is the chimes. So if we go into the Apple Watch app, go into clocks, enable chimes. Here you can have the selection between 2 different sounds, birds or bells. You could tap on them to preview it, but with chimes enabled, basically on the hour, your Apple Watch will either send you haptic feedback if your Apple Watch is on silent, or will play the sounds of birds or bells, whichever one you select on the hour. This is extremely useful for me because this allows me to prevent myself from losing track of time. So if it's 7 o'clock, I'll know it's 7 o'clock. If it's 8 o'clock, I'll have an idea it's 8 o'clock because that came next. It just allows me to be more productive. And back in the clock setting, if you actually enable speak time, you could either have it control with silent mode or always speak. Always speak, if you have your Apple Watch even on silent mode, if you actually take 2 fingers and you tap on the screen, the Apple Watch will say out loud the time. It's really nifty when you don't really want to look at the time. You can just tap the screen and it will just verbally say it.
1:56 p.m.
Now, the cool thing about the Apple Watch is it actually can be used as a translator. If you have to translate something on the fly, thanks to the Siri translation feature, you can now easily do so. You could easily just activate Siri by tapping and holding the digital crown or using the Hey hands-free Siri function. But if by doing this, if you simply just say, how do you translate microphone in Spanish?
In Spanish, microphone is micrófono.
And then notice that it will actually read it, say it out loud, but you can actually play
Micrófono.
on demand. So whatever translation you're doing, Siri does it in a matter of seconds, as you just saw. Now, hearing protection, hearing safety is actually innovated on the Apple Watch as well, as it will monitor the decibel levels. If you want to go ahead and quickly customize this, just quickly go on to the Apple Watch app on your iPhone, go into Sound and Haptic, and here you will find headphone safety. Quickly go ahead and enable headphone notifications, and here you can find the custom settings you could actually enable. So if it goes over a certain decibel, you can allow it so it prevents this from happening. It's a great way to prevent hearing loss. Now when you're sending a message, you could have these default replies, but you can also write an actual message by simply just scribbling, and then if you use digital crown, you can actually go back and correct like a certain mistake you may have made. And of course, what's new for watchOS 8 is if you tap the app icon, you can actually insert GIFs, and you can search up GIFs right here as well, which is quite nice. But that's not what I really want to show you. What I want to go ahead and show you is how to add quick replies. Like down here you see, it's easy to do so. Simply just go into the Apple Watch app on your Apple Watch, on your iPhone I mean, and launch the app. Scroll down to messages, and then you could allow it to either mirror your iPhone like how I have for those smart replies, but what I want to go ahead and show you is the default replies. Here is where you can actually add a reply. Right here you could text something like BRB and then just save, tap done, and now whenever you go back into the message app, you'll see that the BRB function, BRB custom shortcut that we created is right there and available, so you don't have to manually type it in. So you could keep adding them as much as you want. Now, if there's some apps on the Apple Watch that you just don't use but you have on your iPhone, you could actually hide some of these apps by going into the Apple Watch app one more time on your iPhone, tap on the selected app you don't want to see on the Apple Watch, and where it says show app on Apple Watch, just disable it, and there you go. Now you cleared up some space. And then there's 2 additional health features on the Apple Watch that not a lot of people actually remember. One is the decibel level measure. Your Apple Watch will always measure the decibel levels around you. If you're exposed to high level of decibels at all time, at a dangerous rate, I should say, your Apple Watch will actually warn you when you should actually like move to a quieter environment to let your eardrums. That decibel level that you were exposed to is known to cause hearing issues. To quickly enable this feature, just simply go on the Apple Watch app on your iPhone, go into noise, sound measurements, and then just enable it from here, and there you go. And then another health feature that's also found here is if you actually go into emergency SOS. Here, not only can you enable the side button and you continue holding, an alarm will sound, but it will actually toggle the emergency SOS, and you also have the slider right here as well. But back on the app, enable fall detection. Now, by default, fall detection is enabled if you're over the age of 65, I believe it is. But if you're younger than that, you have to go in here and manually enable this. And this basically will allow the Apple Watch to monitor any hard impact falls you may have. If you did, the Apple Watch will check in on you, make sure you're conscious. And if you need emergency help, emergency dispatchers to get to your location, the Apple Watch will actually contact your emergency contact and will get dispatchers to your locations, get medical treatment as quickly as possible. So in case of an emergency, the Apple Watch will monitor you and make sure you're okay in case you do fall and end up being unconscious. Hopefully not. All in all, that's basically some cool hidden features, some cool things to adjust if you're just making the transition from the previous WatchOS 7 to WatchOS 8, or you just picked up an Apple Watch for the first time. Now you're caught up with all the must-know hidden features. So if you got some useful information out of the video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could actually leave this video a like, as those will help me out a lot. And get subscribed, especially if you enjoy the nitty-gritty stuff like this, when I go into the settings and see what's useful and what's not, things that Apple usually leaves out and just let the consumer finds out for himself. So I basically cover all that and more. Now, if you just recently picked up an Apple Watch and you want to know what are some cool accessories that I personally use, you can check out that video over there. And the video next to that one, that's just a video YouTube's recommending specifically for you. Thanks so much for watching, take care, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.